Hey, good morning. So for this video, I'd like to take a look at this arrangement that I did of the famous Jesse Harris tune, Don't Know Why. It was a big hit for Norah Jones in the early 2000s. It's a song that I think most people would recognize. And the arrangement that I made actually largely uses the same harmonies as the original. The main difference being that they're inverted, meaning that some of the bass notes have changed from the original. So for this video, I'm sort of assuming that you already know something about inversions. You've seen my other videos, or you already knew it from elsewhere. And I'm just going to really kind of look at the arrangement and see how it compares with the original and what things were changed and why, right? So the original, I'm going to start with the A section. La, da, da. It goes from B flat major 7, la, da, da. B flat 7, la, da. E flat, la, da. D7, G minor 7, la, da, da. C7, la, da. F7 sus, back to B flat. That's the bulk of the A section. So let's look at that. In the original, they're all root position chords, right? For my arrangement, what I did is I took a line that's already one of the inner voices here. If you look at that voice here, major 7 to dominant, and I made that inner voice the bass line for my arrangement. So up to this point, the harmonies are all actually identical to the original, right? So the first chord is a B flat chord. You might recognize this shape here. I just put the bass on A. For the second chord, I went to the dominant just like the original, but the bass is on A flat rather than root position. For the third chord, on the original they go to the E flat here, and I went to this C minor 7. It's really the same chord as an E flat 6, it's the same exact notes. I think of it more as a C minor 7. After that, I went to the D just like the original, but the bass is on F sharp, and I kept this B flat up top. So that makes this a D7 sharp 5 with the bass on F sharp. Still sticking with the harmonies of the original, I go to the G minor, but instead of root position, the bass is on the 7. That's a third inversion, G minor 7, bass F. And then I go to the C7, bass E. Again, same harmony as the original. Here I changed the harmony a little actually. On the original they play an F7 sus, and here I play a straight triad, F triad, bass, E flat. So it's an F7 third inversion. And that note goes down to D to resolve at the root. So this is the one chord, but I have it in first inversion, and I added a color here. I added a 9. Just because it's a nice sound. So if you put it all together, the melody, the bass melody has this descending quality to it, right? Now here there's a couple curveballs. On the original they go to B flat major 7, and I play a major 7 over C. Again, the reason this is here is just because the bass line is descending, right? It's just part of this overall melody. That's why this chord is here. So it's really a C sus, or you can look at it as a B flat. You see the triad there over C. And then I take this shape, I move it down a whole step. That's a B flat sus, or an A flat over B, in place of a B flat 7. It's almost the same chord really, B flat 7, B flat sus. And then here on the original they go back to E flat. I just take the same shape and I bring it down to the A sus, or a G over A. It works with the melody and it's just a nice sound, right? So I'll sing the melody for you on this part. This chord here is a A flat dominant with a 9 and a flat 5 and no third, and it's in place of the D7. So if you're familiar with a tritone substitution, you can look at it as that here. Tritone substitution states that, just real quickly, that if you have a chord like a D7 and the 3rd and the 7th are here, the same 3rd and 7th exist for the dominant chord a tritone away. So here's D, here's A flat, right? Anyway, so instead of the D, I have this A flat dominant, and then I go to G minor 7. This one could be another tritone sub. On the original they go G minor to C7 or C9. And instead of the bass here, I put the bass here. But you see the chord up top is exactly the same. The only change is the bass note. And again, the reason for that is so that we can keep the bass line moving down, right? And the next chord is back to the root, bass F, so B flat, bass F. The chord after that can sometimes be a curveball too. It depends on what the melody is doing. The melody has 2 different resolutions from here. Sometimes it goes up to a D, so it goes dun, 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 dun. If it goes to the D, I play an E minor 7. I'm just playing a G triad with a bass E here. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 right? Dun, 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 dun. But sometimes the melody goes down to a B flat. If it goes down to a B flat, dun, 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 I play a C7 over E. It's the same shape as we did here earlier, but in a different string group. Same exact notes. Okay? After this, there's an E flat minor 6. Here's a kind of a popular shape for this chord. Sometimes I do this. It's an E flat, the minor 3rd, the 6, and the major 7 there. And then I resolve to that B flat first inversion with the add 9 that we've seen before. I take the same shape a whole step down. And that's the end of the A section. And this chord here in the original is an F sus, but I just like the sound of this shape moving down, and it works with the melody. And that's the whole A section. For the B section, I just change, well, I change a couple chords. So let's look at that. It starts with a G minor. That's the original. She goes, she sings a 13 over the C7. And then they end on a F7 sus. From my arrangement, I went, I played that same first inversion shape down here. It would be like a G over B if this were a G, but if you put the bass on the E, it turns it into an E minor 11. It's just a nice sound. I go to the F7 sus just like the original, but I do a little bass line walk up to D7 over F sharp, and the F sharp wants to go back to G minor, so that gives us a little bit more of pull in the harmonic movement. Back to G minor. Here, this chord is the same as the original, but on the original the bass line moves downward with the melody. It just doubles the melody. Or it does something like, it's just F7 with that melody on the bass. But instead of doing that, I decided to make the bass line go up against the melody that is going down. So it sounds like this. So let's look at those chords real quick. F7 sus. This is an E flat with the add 9, first inversion, bass on G. Here I have an A flat diminished 7. The melody's right there. And here I have an F6 bass A. That's the whole B section. After that it goes back to the A. And the only other section in the song is the intro and the outro that I sort of wrote for this. And the thinking behind that is because the bass line and the bulk of the song has this descending motion. I wanted to write the intro and the outro with an ascending bass motion. That's really the only thinking behind it, and I just wrote some chords that I think sound nice together. It's sort of diatonic at first. Well, sort of. This chord is really an A flat over C, B flat over D, and then E flat 6. Here I throw that E minor that I like, really offsets the tonality. And then here I have a B flat 6 bass F. Here D7 over F sharp. This one is a G minor 7. It's popular voicing, a lot of people know it. And then I just take the bass up a half step to a B flat triad with the bass A flat. So it's a B flat 7, third inversion, right? So all together it goes like this. And we either end the song here. I think I take this chord down an octave on the recording. Or from here, we can go back to the top. Waited till I saw, etc., etc. And that's the whole arrangement in a nutshell. So as you can see, it's mostly the original chords, the original harmonies, with changed bass notes, and that gives us a really different sound while using the same notes. And that's what's cool about inversions.